Now, former Assistant Director of the FBI in New York, Bill Gavin. Bill, good to have you with us. Joining us by phone, former Assistant Director of the FBI in New York, James Kallstrom. Thank you both for being here. Let me begin with you, Bill, first. This is, as to quote Secretary Clinton, unprecedented, but we have just moved into, we've crossed the penumbra of the absurd here. We're watching the FBI being reduced to the laughingstock of the country right now, because it looks, after you've just seen the Secretary of State weigh in, you've just seen the President of the United States, it looks like clearly the message went down the chain, and they decided to put up obstacles, hurdles, and to grease this thing up and send it out the chute within just about 11 days. What do you make of it?
I think we've seen the Clinton cabal at its best. You know, the bottom line is the angst that exists both internally within the FBI and externally with a lot of the retired agents is basically this, Lou. Any case that the FBI works, they work it to a point where if they start to run in, they do all the investigation, they review records and everything else. If, in fact, they start to run into a wall, it goes before a grand jury. I think there's a misconception that the FBI can convene a grand jury. That has to be convened either by the United States Attorney's Office, if that's the venue, or the Attorney General of the United States, if that's the venue. In this particular case, when you bring it before a grand jury, people get sworn in and they have three options: tell the truth, tell a lie, tell you to go fish. After that, you make a decision as to whether or not you are going to work with these people, grant immunity to get what you're looking for. In this particular case, immunity was just granted, and it's a most confusing thing for everybody involved, both former agents and now.
You know, Jim, it's confusing, and I will acknowledge that. It is also pretty clear that it's intended to be confusing and confounding. And just as we thought that James Comey was reacting to what we were told was effectively a rebellion on the part of a good number of terrific, brave FBI agents, they've just been slapped down by this redirection on the part of the director of the FBI. We know there's still no grand jury, whether from a U.S. Attorney's Office or from the Attorney General's Office, that is the Justice Department. The whole thing, I think I remember someone saying it looks like a scam.
Yeah, Lou. You know, I've been on your show and I've talked about this.
Right.
You know, it's never really been a serious investigation. You know, I never thought that Hillary Clinton was in any jeopardy. As long as President Obama is the President of the United States, she's never going to be indicted no matter what. And the shame here is that... And
I just want to say to our audience, and Jim said that right on this broadcast, and has been consistent throughout.
Yeah, I mean, an investigation of this magnitude, you know, Jim Comey would have to know at the very beginning that they were not going to approve a grand jury, which means they're not going to have a very successful investigation, they're not going to have subpoena power, not going to have search warrants, etc. So, you know, I think what the FBI director should do at that point is get on the stump and have a press conference and talk about, Madam Attorney General, we need a grand jury to do this investigation. And if you're not going to give us the grand jury, you know, you need to give us an answer. And if they don't, then he needs to consider his options. And his options are not to throw the FBI under the bus with an investigation that's meaningless, quite frankly, although he does lay out all the felonies. They left all these felonies on the table, you know, multi-year felonies. And, you know, he should have thought about resigning or asking the Attorney General to step aside after that outrageous conduct of hers on the tarmac out in Arizona and let somebody else make decisions for the Justice Department.
It's perhaps unfair to talk about the entire top tier of FBI management, Bill, but and Donald Trump has just taken the stage. We're going to go to him very quickly. But the reality is this looks exactly like what Donald Trump's been describing. This looks rigged.